Hello and welcome back to Aetheral Space 9.9, Day and Night. Hello, Darnell, we are back.
Oh, welcome back. Last time on Aetheral Space, we learned about Skipper and how he was like, he shot at the Supreme and then the whole guard he was in killed him, but then they were like, if we bring Skipper back, maybe the Supreme will be happy. Then the Supreme's like, they say, this is why this motherfucker's gotta be stopped. And then Hamashu was like, don't care, didn't ask, plus
Let me
ratio.
get the manager.
Let me get the manager, Paradisus. And then on the other hand, we saw Muzazi go to kidnap Mila just to do the exact same thing that Mila was going to do anyway. And also we saw that Olga has a Aether armament scarf. Yeah. I think that's everything. Did I miss anything?
You didn't. You're a real good guy. You're pretty good at reading too. Blushed.
What the fuck?
What's going on?
I got what? I'm stun locked. Hang on. Okay.
This guy started saying stun locked, and that's Twitch talk, and I'm worried about this guy.
I stole it from Northern Lion, so I guess he's kind of Twitch. Okay.
Post in the comments if you're concerned about Darnell.
I was gonna ask. Sorry, in one of the last chapters, when Hamashio was like, "Hey, Dragon, you're going Cogitant mode. You're going Kagi mode." Someone asked, wanted me to ask. Well, they just asked, and I figured they would want me to ask you. There was a bit where there was like kind of speech, you know, when he was like glitching out, and they want to know if there's anything worth like trying to decipher from that text, or if that was just like gibberish to convey.
It is not gibberish.
Okay, there you have it. Get deciphering.
Whether you can decipher it, I don't know, but it was not gibberish.
Interesting. Alright, so let's get reading. Hear me today, and listen well! This is no true meat. How could it be? The final church is not here! Only a clown wearing its stolen face. A blasphemous simulacrum. The Superbians are ruled by a tantruming child. The Humanists are led by a lying mutant. And who can even speak of the Paradisus' sins when their leader goes unseen by all? Even without a face, their agenda is apparent. A world of steel and glass and hollow pursuits. To this I say, no! Do not let your faith be stolen, brothers! Do not allow yourselves to be misled, sisters! Now is the time! Destroy the Deus Nobiscum! Annihilate the menagerie! Bring low the Eliza! Only when the false church is torn down will the true one appear. A real true meat would end with heads on pikes! Street preacher aboard the menagerie. Missing. Uh-oh.
Oh, dear.
Think something happened to him. Hey, soul sister! Hey there, Mister! Alright. Hang on. Sorry, my glasses are a little dirty.
The fog's up because you're so excited.
Yeah, so true. There was a bright world, and there was the real world. That was the way Olga Malwarian saw things. She perched atop a rafter in the ceiling of the interrogation room, looking curiously down as Lyons did his work on their captive. Hey, did you guys notice that last name Olga has?
Yeah, Misha's a hacker. Because she does malware.
His hand... Wait, can you say something again?
Hi.
Keep talking, hang on, my headphones fucked up.
Hi, you come here often?
Alright, I fixed it.
Okay.
His hand... Why do you keep hitting on me? What's going on?
I'm hitting on the audience.
Oh, okay. That's fine then.
There's
nothing problematic about that.
If you'll excuse me, I'm trying to build a parasocial relationship.
I'm trying to build a cult of the lamb. Cult of the tan.
I'm a lamb.
His hand was planted firmly against Mila Green's face. Chalk-colored aether, but... Okay, now this one's fucked up, because what do you mean by chalk-colored?
The colour of chalk.
Chalk comes in many colours.
Yeah, but when you say I say chalk, what colour comes into your head? Smell.
Honestly, blue first. I know you probably
Freak.
mean the white stick,
Freak.
like in the cartoon, but definitely
Mutant. Creature.
I've seen
It's
more
white.
chalk of color than I have...
It's like dirty white.
Then you should have said chalk white colored aether.
They don't have other colour
His hand was
chalks in
planted-
Aetheral space times. That art's been lost.
Wow, dystopian. His hand was planted firmly against Mila Green's face, chalk-colored aether buzzing around his digits as his ability did its work. Green's thrashing had only lasted a couple of seconds. Without aether defenses, she'd gone limp quickly, her passions and drives drained away by Lion's cold touch. This sort of scene was common in the real world. People were beaten, robbed, murdered every second, and to avoid such a fate, there was no choice but to be the one beating, robbing, and murdering. Olga had learnt that lesson early on, and the instruction of the supremacy in the GID had only cemented it. If you hurt others, you wouldn't be hurt. If you hurt others, you would be helped. There was no point in getting angry about it. Just like there was no point getting angry that you had to breathe. Things were just the way they were. Lyons was quietly asking questions and receiving whispered answers. Olga wasn't exactly sure how her superior's power worked, but the result was obvious. The victim temporarily became a living doll, willing to answer any questions or follow any instructions they were given. Mila Green would have no choice but to tell them how to free Helga. Helga. Olga adjusted her position slightly on the rafter, rubbing the scarf coiled around her jaw. If all went well, Helga would be with them again soon. It had been years since Olga had last seen her. Helga had been doing good work, of course, infiltrating the Humalists, but still. She couldn't help but feel weird at the thought of meeting her older sister again, after so long. What was his voice again?
He was like a calm, cool guy.
Olga, Lyons said, standing up and removing his hand from Green's face. I'm just going to make him Peter Baelish. As silent as a cat, Olga dropped down next to him, her scarf lowering her to the ground. That was nothing special, though. In the Galactic Intelligence Division, it would be stranger to find someone who did make a sound when they moved. She'd once heard of an agent who could make you forget their very existence, although he'd later joined the Supreme Heir's Seven Blades. I'm done here, Lyons said calmly, brushing some of the dust off his face. Tell Atoy Muzazi we move as soon as Green comes back to herself. There are retinal scanners to access the ship Helga's on. There are retinal scanners to access the ship Helga's on, so this woman will have to come along with you. Olga cocked her head. Couldn't we just take her eyes with us? Lyons waved a vague hand. She doesn't know if there are vital sensors as well, so it's best not to risk it. Tell Atoy Muzazi, at any rate. Olga nodded loyally. By the by, Lyons purred, glancing down at her. Atoy Muzazi, what do you think of him? Olga frowned. She hadn't interacted with him long, but from the way he'd spoken to her on the roof, and the half-hearted way he dealt with his opponent when capturing Green. He's soft, she said. Weak. If it comes down to hard decisions, he'll take too long to think about it. We should get rid of him and bring in someone we can trust. Lyons chuckled, strolling towards the door. Oh, he sighed, but we can trust Atoy Muzazi. More than anyone else, in fact. I've been assured of that by the highest authorities. Dragon Hadrian sipped his soft drink, looking out at the artificial beach before him.
A comparison Muzazi land to Dragon lands.
White sands, blue waves, and artificial lighting that managed to match the warmth of sunlight, with none of the irritated burning. He adjusted his sunglasses, getting the light out of his eyes, and relaxed back on his deck chair. It really felt like it had been ages since he'd finally gotten to relax. No impending danger lurking at the edges of prediction, no authorities hunting them, no insane monsters banging at the walls. Just him, a cold drink, and Serena splashed him. Dragon blinked in annoyance, wiping his wet hair back with one hand as he put his drink down on the waiting automatic coaster. Sighing, he sat up and looked at his dual annoyances. Right at the edge of the water, grinning at him like a pair of haunting specters, were Ruth and Serena. What are you doing, Mr. Dragon? Serena asked cheerfully. There's all this water, and you're not doing anything with it. This ship is a closed system. Even though it's filtered to hell, that water you're swimming in probably came from the toilets. Dragon thought about sharing that unpleasant information. Why? What the fuck? Are they chlorinating the toilet water? What's going on? But in the end decided not even he was that cruel. Quit lounging around, Dragon, Ruth barked, adjusting the strap of her red swimsuit. You'll get out of shape if you sit around like that all day. Dragon raised an eyebrow. I've been sitting here like this for 12 minutes. Am I not allowed to relax for 12 minutes? Of course you are, Serena smiled. Just come relax in the water. It's more fun like that. I'm having fun like this, though, Dragon said. She cocked her head. But you're not doing anything. Exactly. As Dragon spoke, a shadow fell over him. The accompanying coolness of the shade was welcome. The shape of the silhouette less so. He glanced... I love Skipper's shadow immediately cooled down the temperature like 10 degrees in an instant. He's that powerful. He glanced up at Skipper, who was peering out across the false beach with one hand shielding his eyes from the light. To be honest, that didn't seem entirely necessary, especially since he was wearing that stupid hat again. Without looking at Dragon, Skipper spoke. You'll get out of shape if you sit around like that all day. Dragon rolled his eyes. I've heard it. It was at that moment Serena decided to try splashing Dragon again. The form of her marine assault was... I'm sorry, I could just see the incoming bolt. The form of her marine assault was impeccable, but the timing was amateur. He saw it coming from a mile away. Gemini shotgun. The water was absorbed into Dragon's aether before it could splash him. This is funnier if you've missed the arc where I just keep saying Gemini shotgun randomly and I can't stop. It's just sorry. And the rebound pelted Serena with such force that she went flying back into the water. What the fuck, Dragon? Ruth, losing interest, swam after her with the speed of an athlete. Already, Dragon finished. Skipper sighed, planting himself in the sunbed next to Dragon without asking. You'll regret it someday, you know, kid. These moments don't keep coming forever, yeah? Dragon glanced sideways at Skipper. Speaking from experience? Since coming back from the Eliza, they really hadn't had much of a chance to speak about what they'd seen in the garden. Dragon wasn't an asshole. He hadn't told Ruth, Bruno, or Serena about it, but he still couldn't help but feel that burning curiosity. Skipper cracked his neck as he leaned back in his seat, moving his head so it was under the protection of the parasol. Don't know about that, kid. Kind of the opposite from me, I guess. When I was your age, I spent all my time worrying about glory and victory and other stupid shit. So now, I'm taking these moments late. Dragon sipped his drink, adjusting the collar of his water hoodie awkwardly as the quiet drifted on. What the fuck is a water hoodie?
It's a hoodie for the water smell.
Okay. Because you want something really big and baggy when you're swimming. That's classic. In the distance, he could hear the pre-recorded sound of some seabird, providing the illusion of nature. The stuff we saw in the garden, Dragon said slowly. The Supreme Guard and all that stuff. I looked it up, and they disbanded like 60 years ago, right? Skipper looked straight ahead. That's right. So they were putting you back together for about... He shrugged slightly. 20 years or so. Never got an exact count. Hold on, are they implying that the Supreme Guard disbanded right after he went down, or are they like factoring in that time?
The former.
Oh. So in terms of actual chronology, you're, what, 90? Skipper cast him an offended glance. More like 70. I'm no fossil, Mr. Adrian. Guess not, Dragon muttered, sipping his drink. When you got out, did you chase up the people you knew before? That Klaus guy or anyone else? Skipper stared off into the distance. When I came back to myself, I found out Achilles Esmeralda committed honorable suicide for the crimes of his child. Dragon swallowed. I see. I'm sorry. The older man didn't acknowledge it. The rest is another story for another day, he said, and the sigh that left his lips quickly metamorphosed into a grin. We found such a nice day, and we're just talking about depressing shit. The hell are we doing, Mr. Adrian? I guess so. For a moment, the vigil of the seabird returned. The caw, 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 like the ticking of a clock. And then, Dragon clambered off the sunbed, taking off his sunglasses and putting them down on the floating saucer as well. Skipper raised an eyebrow. Up to something? It's like you said, Dragon replied, smirking despite himself. These moments don't last forever. Might as well enjoy them while I can. He marched over to the beach, towards Ruth and Serena, tossing off his hoodie and using a hand to shield his eyes from the sun. After all, he muttered to himself, it's such a nice day. Oh no. Oh no. Sorry, I'm reacting a lot this chapter. I need to stop doing that.
This is fucked up. This guy's reacting to the content? This guy's going too far.
Atoy Musazi's eyes were becoming used to the dark. He sat in the cramped quarters he'd been provided, diligently polishing his new black blade, surrounded on all sides by dingy walls and steadfast silence. I tried to deliver that like a fucking Darkest Dungeon line. In his heart, he knew that he'd finished polishing the sword nearly an hour ago. but there was nothing else for him to do. When he tried to think of what he'd like to do next, all that came to mind was the mission. And for now, the mission was to wait. Do you really need someone else to give you a mission? Musashi squeezed his eyes shut, and then, opening them again, looked up. It was as he'd expected. Nigen Rush, the golden sword of the supremacy, stood on the other side of the room, resplendent in his ceremonial armor. A glow like sunlight poured through the visor of his helmet, illuminating the room. Musashi found himself squinting from that light as he beheld the intruder. He did not answer the question. "Are you a hallucination?" he asked instead, "or some kind of aether attack?" "What would that answer profit you?" "It would tell me if I've gone mad or not," Musashi said, slowly rising to his feet, hand squeezing the hilt of his sword, "and whether or not you're an enemy I must eliminate." Save for the slightest breathing, Nigen Rush did not move. "Must? That's mistaken," Musashi frowned. "What do you mean?" "There is no must in this world, just as there is no mission. There is no law of reality that forces you to obey the decrees of others. Your choices are yours, and yours alone. It does not matter why you do something. You are still the one who has done it." Musashi drew his black blade back, adjusting his footing slightly, ready to run the spectre through. "Before, when I was speaking to Lions, you told me not to trust him. What did you mean by that?" "You know what I meant by that." The tranquility in Nigen Rush's voice went unburdened. "I do not. Tell me." "You do know. You simply do not know that you know." Musashi growled. "I've had enough of these games. Explain yourself to me, or I shall not be responsible for—" The door opened. "Mr. Musashi," Olga said calmly, stepping into the room, "it's time to go. We're having Mila Green get us onto the ship where Helga's being held." Her eyes flicked down to the sword in Musashi's hands. "Are you okay?" Musashi looked up, and, as expected, Nigen Rush was gone. He bitterly returned the sword to its sheath. "Yes," he said, voice low. "I'm fine. Let's go." Popcorn.
I thought you said awkward there. I was like, check please.
Sorry, I thought that was supposed to be the tone.
Musashi when Negan Rush appeared is like, he's right behind me, isn't he? The chamber of the Cardinal Council was as silent as the grave. It was a fitting ambience for the place where so many had died. Giovanni sat alone on his throne, eyes flicking between the myriad of holographic screens before him, presenting a curated recap of the day's events. His meeting with Gertrude Harf, the rumours circulating among the Superbian flock, and a curious incident involving the Paradisus. His meeting with Harf had gone as expected. She was never going to agree to the terms he proposed, but now he could at least say he'd tried. There could be no good war without peace efforts beforehand. The information acquired regarding her anti-Aether power would be useful as well. The rumours spreading throughout the Superbian sect were more of a concern. He expected people to raise eyebrows at the sudden seclusion of the Cardinals, especially after his public disputes with them, but he'd hoped it wouldn't happen so soon. Ideally, he'd like to maintain the illusion until the end of the true meet, but that no longer seemed possible. Isabel's face drifted to the surface of his mind as he brooded. No doubt she had something to do with this. She'd suspected what he was going to do after all. But the fact that there were still only rumours meant she didn't have proof. He could still delay internal purges until after the humilists were dealt with. In the corner of the display, a message popped up. A request for a meeting with him from Professor Roger Brinkman. Giovanni swiped it away almost spitefully. Brinkman may have led the Testament project that had led to his creation, but that didn't mean Giovanni had any desire to meet with him. The old scientist forgot his place too often, treating Giovanni as if he was still some laboratory specimen he could talk down to. Right now, the Paradisus matter held far more interest to him. A videograph clip, pilfered from the Eliza, showed a looping video of two individuals in a scuffle with Hamashtiel of the Paradisus sects. A young man and an older one fought against the Paradisus official briefly, then stayed still as the sphere presumably uploaded their consciousnesses to the garden. Then they left peacefully. A curious incident indeed. Giovanni swiped his fingers across the screen, changing the display to show where they tracked those intruders to. After leaving the Eliza, it seemed to join up with some others and docked with a luxury ship orbiting the True Meat proper, the Aetheral Beach. It would be prudent for him to find out what was going on here in more ways than one. He opened a communication channel with Jamie. "Jamie," he said softly, "I have a job for you." Jamie's cheerful voice came back over the communicator. Mm-hmm. I'm sending you files regarding some individuals who broke into the Paradise's flagship earlier today, he said carefully. Faces and current location. I want you to go after them. Bring them back here, alive. This has the potential to bring down the humanists entirely. Sure thing. Dutiful as ever. A fond smile playing across his lips, Giovanni ended the call. In truth, this Paradise's matter is most a mild curiosity for him. Certainly there was no way pursuing it would realistically do any form of harm to the humanist sect of the final church. But he'd had to say that all the same. He wasn't alone after all. More than likely, Gertrude Harf had deployed some of her pets to follow him back home. The rumours of her opponent's assassination spoke for themselves. They were probably in the room with him. He couldn't speak carelessly. He made no effort to find them and gave no sign that he knew of their presence. To do so would defeat the purpose of his exercise. Having heard what he'd just said, they'd no doubt pass that information along to Gertrude, and she'd no doubt send some other pieces to intercept his. She'd have no choice but to show her hand. Unseen under the desk, his fingers tapped away a set of orders to Captain John Peake of the Vox Day.
Wait, why does that sound familiar, John Peake?
He's been here before. He was here when they killed all the cardinals.
Oh, that's why.
He and his men would enter the luxury ship shortly after Jamie, entrapping any pursuers between them. The slightest sweat ran down the back of his neck. This was it. The beginning of the end of the humanists, and the beginning of the Superbians' eternal dominance. The first move, the first domino, the first blood. Giovanni sent the order.
Damn. It's all in motion. This is like one of those scenes in anime where it like pans to Giovanni in a dark room with like computer monitor light washing over him, and he looks down and the camera pans to a little chessboard he has, and he moves one pawn 2 spaces
He
up.
flicks one over.
Yeah. It seems the game has begun.
It's like fucking liar game. Like he and Gertrude were like, at the table.
He goes to the fucking chess void.
Yeah.
It's liar game. Allow me to explain my
New
plan,
incomprehensible
JD.
bits.
Sorry, you have to watch the 2000s J-Drama Liar Game.
The
to get
first 4
this.
episodes, at least, to understand these references.
Oh god, Fukunaga. Classic. Alright, now I just want to watch Liar Game. Fuck, we don't have time today. Okay. Alright, well thank you. Oh no, first you have a fun fact, and then I have some information to reveal. after your
So,
fun fact.
if you give me a question, I will give you a fun fact answer. It's my own.
This sounds a lot less like fun facts and a lot more like Darnell's Q&A. And if that's what the section is, I wish I'd been writing down the questions I've had in my head. Let me think real quick.
There's only one question. Like, there's no questions plural here.
Right. Well, I always have questions about Aetheral Space throughout the week, and I usually forget to write them down. Let me think of one real quick. Okay. What is Dragon's happiest memory? And if it is something that's happened in the story, you can do that, unless it's this beach event. Then you have to give me the next happiest memory.
It would probably... Well, it's not in the story, it's probably when he first left Crestpool and saw what a star looked like in person.
Aww, that's cute. And then I have some news for you guys. I've been asking Tan questions to work on my DoD thing, Do or Die. So I learned that you can record fire and electricity, and
He
also
got this information through strange means.
And also here's some even greater news. Things don't age while they're recorded. So if you record someone, I guess you could preserve their life. You could record food to like store military rations. But even crazier, if you have something recorded and you die, it's just gone. So like it's totally viable to be like, here, record this top secret hard drive and then shoot someone in the head. Or for someone to be like, you'll never get.
It's like a waste of an Aether user.
Is it? Aether users are a dime a dozen.
Yeah, but who's gonna like do that for you?
Like a top secret bodyguard
Throw
for like
into
the
the
head
sun.
of a government. I guess you could do that, but what if you can't get it there on time? Like, what if it's time relevant and like you have the drive in your hands and it's like the only choice? Or also, if you're being, say, tortured for information, you could record the information and then they can't kill you because then it's lost forever. You have it recorded.
But they'll still torture you because presumably you know the information.
Well, here's the biggest one for me. Is this changes the way crime and evidence works, right? Because all it takes is one corrupt cop who can record evidence and then it's gone. But also, let's say you're getting robbed, right? What's to stop the person from, if they're an Aether user, recording their valuables, and then you at the very least can't kill them? You can kidnap them, you can torture them, sure, but, like, this changes the dynamic, yeah? And what about banks? Do banks keep money in Aether users, and if so, are they well guarded? Because it's the safest way to hold things?
The 7 vaults, the strongest fighters of the bank.
Can you steal things other people have recorded? Could you make a technique to reach in and steal other recorded items? Could call it Aether pilfering, Aether pickpocket.
It would have to be. It's not like going to be. It wouldn't be a widespread technique. It'd be like a ability specifically.
Right. So like, imagine, you know, like some guy bumps into Ruth in the city, and he's like, "Oh, excuse me, sorry," and then she goes off to a fight. Yeah, she's like, "Where's my skeletal set?" And he's like,
"I made a pretty
Aether get."
Aether is that the name of the ability? He's like, Aether.
Yeah, Aether get.
And I pumps his fist when he says it.
Yeah, and he does like a comedic little swipe with his hands, and it makes a funny noise.
Aether get. Rank up.
Alright. Well, thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye!
Bye!